talk a little bit about the current state of Forex and what games you could be playing now. So Civ 6 has recently come out. Some people might be wondering, what should I be playing? What are my options? And I feel like I've got a decent idea of what's out there right now and what you can play. I'm going to be sticking to things that are similar to Civ. I'm not going to be going into space Forexes and things like that. I can't speak to those. In addition to that, I will be trying to weigh out the good and the bad and kind of going over them shortly. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so here are the main titles that are out there right now. There's Civ 6, there's Civ 5, Age of Wonders 3, and Endless Legend. Now, Civ 6, bad is it's a full price title that's not really going to go down anytime soon, at least not much. Another one of the bad things is it has AI issues. The AI is still a little wonky in how it plays the game. Well, let's say very wonky. It keeps units from past stages, things along those lines. It really doesn't perform as you would hope, and it's just kind of fed a lot of resources, kind of like in 5. So since the game it's fresh, it's new, it needs a lot of work on the AI still, on the AI side of things still. So that's still an issue. So if that was something you couldn't stand, I would avoid this title for a little while. Another issue is that the multiplayer is not set up yet, which is really strange. You can't automatically ally with other people. That hasn't been patched yet. Now I'm sure they're going to patch that eventually, but and they do eventually patch a lot of things in Civ titles. But again, we'll have to see how things come along. And the AI, it's probably never going to be perfect or what we would hope for. We'll have to see how much they improve it. In 5, it got improved quite a bit, but still was nowhere near what we would hope for. So we'll really have to see what they do with 6. I really think this is going to make or break 6, because 6 is an improvement over 5, but they really should push towards the AI, because right now that's been a thing that people have been kind of upset about for quite a long time, and it still seems like the AI has not figured out how to fight on a basic level. So yeah, keep that in mind. The good, a lot of the things from 5 have been improved. Sieges are better in my opinions. They make more sense. There's walls. There's health behind the walls. They feel like sieges. There's a lot. It's more in depth in terms of that. You have more interesting mechanics with the cards. You use these cards, and you can kind of change your empire as it goes. You're not locked into these policies. So I think it's more adapted and more interesting. There's more to think about when you play the game. The game is a full title. When 5 was out, it was a full title. This is basically, in many ways, a better Civ 5. I have a hard time arguing for Civ 5 anymore. Again, literally the only thing is I think the AI in Civ 5, in terms of warfare, is more competent than 6. That's scary to say. Now, it's not that it's that much stronger. It's just the AI in 5, I don't recall them having hundreds of units that are of an old age just hanging around at all times. Like, sure, they had the occasional warrior in that here and there, but they didn't really focus on building a bunch of them and just leaving them around. Now when I play, it'll just be tons of war chariots all everywhere and just very few modern units. So it's very strange how the AI operates, and it needs a lot of work. Yeah, that's one thing, but it does improve on a lot of the other things that I didn't like about 5. The AI seems more predictable in terms of their personalities, although that needs to be worked on a little bit, but you can tell a little bit more who they are and what their motivations are. So yeah, that's essentially 6. And it's a better 5 in a nutshell, but you have to pay full price, and there are still the AI issues. And if that's something you had a major gripe with, 6 will upset you. And Civ 6 is quite a bit more complex title. So you want to make sure that you're up for the challenge, because it really is no joke. Like, it's taking me a while to figure this game out. The district system is very, very kind of complex. You have to really think about where you place things, and it's a definite learning curve. So you have to be ready to accept that. 5. All right, so 5. Yeah, so 6 didn't solve 1 UPT by any stretch of the imagination, but it helped a little bit. Now, right now in 6, it seems more like it seems worse because of the way the AI is, and in some ways it still has like some of the weird issues with auto cycling, but that's a different story. But essentially, 6 lets you get 2 units. You know, it lets you do the corpse later on, and it kind of helps with that. It kind of helps with the UPT, 1 UPT. It doesn't solve everything, but it helps a little bit. So I think that here in 5, 1 UPT is a little worse. There's a lot of weird things, you know, that are designed in a way that really limits. You know, this 5 feels like almost an alpha for 6. You know, it's a lot of things that are messed up. I mean, of course, I'm not saying it's not a full title. It's a full title. It's working. Not a lot of bugs, but it's really 1 UPT at its lowest point, I guess. So take that into consideration if you don't like that. The other bad thing is there's still slow loading times. I mean, I have like a hybrid SSD / regular drive. It still takes a while to load up. If you've got an SSD, then it's not a big deal. But yeah, it's kind of slow. There's still, you know, the occasional issues late game with the game desyncing or having issues occasionally. So when you play multiplayer, yeah. So there's some of those issues. Again, yeah, the policy trees are boring. All the buildings are inside your city. That's fairly uninteresting if you're coming from Civ 6. So, but hey, if you have 6, why are you playing 5? Either way, it's kind of a worse game in almost every respect in 6. And that, I'm talking about, yeah, literally vanilla 6. But the game is fairly solid overall. If you haven't played a Civ title before, you'd still like 5. Is it going to train you for 6? Not really. Kind of, but for the most part, it's a different game. But if you haven't played a 4X before, 5 is a great place to start. Not that 6 isn't, just that 5 is it's easier to get a hold of. And if you've never played a 4X, 6 might be like overbearing for you. So 5 is a good place to start. I would get it like on a major sale if you were looking to buy it. I would get it on like a 75% sale or something and give it a shot. Yeah. That's my review on 5. Endless Legends. So, yeah, very hard to learn. This is a title that I have mixed feelings about. I love it, but some of the things they've done I just don't understand. It doesn't have Allied Vision or like default alliances, this is something which like blows my mind. I don't understand why that's not in the game. They've had like 5 expansions or 6 expansions. And Allied Vision is and default teams is not in the game. I don't know what to say. This is a strategy title. Imagine playing a first-person shooter like CS:GO or something, and you're not in a team. I mean, obviously this is different, but it's a core feature. Why isn't it in the game? I don't understand. So I think they should implement that. And if they implement that, the game will already be way better. The battle system is a little weird. I'm okay with it, and I think they tried to simulate like real battles, like where you can't control everything. But I honestly would have been happier with like a turn-by-turn move each unit, like Heroes of Might and Magic type system. So that's kind of my thoughts on Endless Legends battle system, but those are kind of the bad. And sometimes it can feel like you're playing a bit of a spreadsheet game. You're very reliant on where you settle things, and it doesn't. I don't believe it has a start bias like Civ. I'm not sure about this, but it seems like the way you start, where you start, you can really be a little screwed sometimes from the get-go. So that's kind of the bad. The good, it's a beautiful game. It's got quest lines which are pretty cool. Not amazing, but they're pretty cool. The races are very unique. They take very bold approaches to each race. They're not afraid to try crazy stuff. I know one race can't even settle other cities. One race can move their city. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that they can do. And it's really impressive. Like, I've been very impressed with how bold this is. And this is why I think that the more 4X titles we get, the better. Because, remember, it's an arms race, right? The more people come into the arms race, the more they will actually flesh out the things that people care about, whether it's the multiplayer or all this other stuff, because they're going to get overtaken. The best 4X game works. Like, will beat all the others. That's kind of how it is. I mean, of course, Endless Legend has its own niche. It's kind of fantasy, but if you look at the sales charts, I mean, Civ 5 is like 10 times of what Endless Legend is. And I think if Endless Legend had fleshed out their stuff a little bit better, they would have a much better shot at, like, having competed with Civ 5 for a while. Another one of the bad things that I don't have on this list yet, but that's unfortunate, I forgot to mention, is that now that Civ 6 is out, and the people at Amplitude are working, developers of Endless Legend at Amplitude, the studio, are now focusing on Endless Space 2. Maybe they won't touch Endless Legend anymore. They seem to have a pattern of, like, they release this for the game, and then they just stop. Now, they haven't been out for that long that, like, I don't know if they'll ever go back to Endless Legend. They might go back to Endless Legend and fix it. They might go back to Dungeon of the Endless, another one of their titles, and fix it. But as a studio, so far, I don't see them coming back once they've decided to stop. Now, again, the sample size is 2, right? And it's only been, like, some years since they've been out, so, like, I could be completely wrong. They could go back to it, but I don't want people to hinge on them coming back and fixing these things. The fact that Allied Vision and Allied Teams is not in is mind-blowing to me, okay, by default. Like, on a 4X game. I saw this, and, like, the first thing I thought is, where is my default teams? Why isn't this in the game? So that's a heavy thing to think about if you like playing with your friends, because that really annoyed the crap out of me. I like to see what my friends do when we're playing together, right? But other than that, the fact that I still play this game all the time speaks to how awesome the lore is, how awesome the graphics are, how awesome, how unique each race is. Really, it's impressive stuff. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. Age of Wonders 3. So this is one I haven't played. This evidence is from kind of what the reviews that I've seen online, and I've seen, like, Cynical Brits reviews. I've seen people review it on Steam, and this is the kind of things I noticed. So the empire building's kind of low. So if you're big on, like, oh, I want to build an empire, like, that's my thing, Age of Wonders 3 is not for you. Definitely not. If you're wanting, if you like diplomacy, Age of Wonders 3 is not for you. But if you like a game that focuses a lot on tactics, ooh, I misspelled that, on tactics, a game that will, you know, like, yeah, where you just enjoy the battles, which is fine, I love those games as well, then this is the game that you want to be playing. Like, this is the game that focuses on that and is supposed to be the best at it. I can't say for myself, I haven't played it. I will eventually, but apparently that's where this game really shines. This game hasn't had an update in over a year. I don't know if they'll come back to it, and I don't know a lot about the studio, so I can't speak to it. But if what you see as of now satisfies you, and you want a Tactics 4X, this is the one for you. And also, the thing to notice about Age of Wonders 3 and Civ 5 and Endless Legend and, yeah, those 3 titles is that the price tag is more reasonable, especially these two, because these two have, like, a lower price tag at all times. Obviously, if you buy the expansions, it's cheaper, but Endless Legend and Age of Wonders at any one time are cheaper than Civ 5. And if they go 75%, guess what? They're still cheaper than Civ 5. So those are the things they have going to them. I can't speak in detail about the game, about the multiplayer, blah, 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 these things. I have no idea. But those are kind of my thoughts on what's out there right now. And now that Civ 6 is out, should you be giving up on everything else? I don't think so. I think Civ 6 is good. It's got a ways to go. If they fix things up there, and it'll be harder to argue for the other titles. Definitely. They'll still have their unique points. Civ 5 still has the simplicity, right? If you want to learn, Civ 5 is for you. You're the new player, you want to learn about game 4Xs, Civ 5 is probably for you. If you want to play a tactics game, Age of Wonders will probably still be the game for you, I think, if you're really big on tactics. If you want fantasy, Civ 6 is probably not going to give you that until mods, which, by the way, are not in the game yet, which is strange. So yeah, those are kind of the things. And another thing to make a note about Civ 5, it has a lot of mods, which is a big selling point of the game. I think it has a bunch of mods. Endless Legend has a few, not very much, not really very much. It's just kind of sad. I don't know why. I haven't really looked into the modding community. Age of Wonders 3, I have no idea, so I can't speak to that. But those are kind of my previews of all the current titles out there that are similar to Civ that I'm aware of. I know there's other games like Sorcerer Kings and Fallen Enchantress, but those games I don't believe are multiplayer, so I won't touch them. I don't want to talk about them. I also haven't played them, so what's the point? I want to focus on games that are similar, but yet have their own niche. So, as of now, as it stands, these games all have their own merits. It's really about what you want. I personally, if I were to tell you, like, you're a new player, or if you've played these games before, like 4X titles before, or if you've come from 5 and you don't know whether to get 6, I would say grab Endless Legend. It's pretty awesome, and it'll be a different experience if you don't want to buy 6 yet, or you're not convinced yet. But again, that's mostly from the fact that I haven't played Age of Wonders 3. So yeah, hopefully this helps you guys get a bit of an idea of what's out there and what you can realistically, what you can try out, and like what'll satisfy your gaming crave. So hope you guys had a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.